That doesn't make sense. Appears like it's an attack. This is... Huh. That's fine. So, not sure what is going on. Well, let's see how it goes. Pre-production. All right, here we go. Good evening. Welcome to the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am your humble host, Wind is Timeless. I am the holder of the infinite ball game that was created by the Hero Twins, and I am also your galactic daddy-o, welcoming you all on my galactic patio from Minnesota to the universe. And tonight's special sponsor is Drakkar Essence for the man who has nothing. Now I'll get a little history. Michelob was always one of my favorite beers growing up. I think the first time I really got drunk, I drank regular. But as I found the just not the alcohol getting, but when I found that the taste of beer, I love Michelob Dark, which they don't really make. This is the closest thing to it. Not very strong beer at 5.1, but the taste is probably one of their better beers. Now I know a few years ago they were making different batches, they were actually making some good beer. But this is that Michelob Amber Bock, baby. So pop them if you got them, smoke them if you want 'em. And we are using the Hamilton device. So I'm gonna start off with a little funny story because my pimping always be superb. It is always superb, just pimping, just the way I carry myself when I go around. So it's kind of funny. Yesterday I go in to get some cigars, or maybe it was the day before. I went in to get some more cigars. And so I get in there and the girls tease me. They're like, wow, they're digging, the way my stuff is set up. They like the hat. They like the way, my drip is going. They're feeling me. And I'm just kind of cracking up because they tell me that almost every time. I go in to take my daughter to the doctor, and the doctor tells me, because I've been dressed basically like this all day, and she's like, oh, I love your outfit. And I'm just laughing. But the kicker, that they're trying to make the kicker as a spell word. But the funniest thing was my daughter and I go to Wendy's. It's kind of our little date. And this little young dude was in there, and he was a European young boy. And he just like, he checked out how I was dressed up top. He checked me out, and then he looked to see what I was wearing, and he saw the Adidas socks and where they call the Air Foams slides that I showed months ago. And it's like he gave me the look of like that my pimping was on point. Because I kind of giggled to myself, but like, it's just funny how young people, like if they see you wearing a nice top and stuff, the next thing they see is what you're wearing on your feet. And so it passed. So it's kind of funny. Hey, Crazy Sarge, that was a great video. I saw that. I'm pretty sure I saw that book, and man, I've been looking at that book at myself. I'm pretty sure. So great share. Hey, PJ, what's happening? Hey, Jay, how you doing? Hey, James, how you doing? Aggie Pride. Hey, did you see? And I'll switch and not saying hello, but did y'all see where J.R. Smith is trying to play golf for A&T? A&T is coming up. I mean, when I went to school, A&T roughly had 5,000 people. Now A&T is 15,000 plus, if not closer to 20. You can look it up now. But I wouldn't even know the campus. It's been Division I basketball even when I went there, but not. We were Division II football, which made us available for the playoffs, Division II playoffs. Now they're Division I football. But J.R. Smith is going. Did y'all catch that? J.R. Smith is trying to play golf, and he's in his late 30s. But it's something that is available to do. I thought about if I ever had the money, go back down there and finish school. 2 years, I probably could finish. I think I'm going to get a gopher degree though. So I wanted to say that before I forgot it. I'm not going to be on here, but just a little bit tonight. Got my truck narrowed down to 3 more parts to replace. Okay, I know you hustling hard. Well, thank you for joining me. Call me if you need, need anything, need to talk about anything. You can call me. Hey, Reese, thank you for joining me. Pimping on point, definitely. You saw that? Yeah. He had the A&T shirt on. He's golfing out there. And I've told this story many years before. When I worked for the city, there used to be an event. These old dudes hit me to it. It was called the GGO, the Greater Greensboro Open. They don't know. They call it something else now. But these old dudes would take the whole week off, and these dudes would get paid. And so, I mean, these dudes would get 5 to 10 racks. It was one dude that had been doing this for 20 some years. He was getting about 10 plus racks for the week because he would caddy for this same guy where he wasn't a traveling caddy, but he was that event caddy. He was getting about 10. And so we was going in there, and I think by the last year I did it, I was making about 1,000. And just what it was a lot of younger dudes wouldn't have traveling caddies. They would have event caddies. And again, that's the cheap way to do it. But what they liked is the reason why they would have caddies at different courses, we would know the course. I mean, that was one thing that we did. We knew the course. That was one thing you had to know all the breaks on every hole. And going there, and I've never been a golfer. I always liked the caddying aspect. But that was something we used to do. We would learn the course and we'd learn all the breaks and stuff. Going with the old dudes, and the old dudes would show us. They was like, if you play from here, this is how it breaks. And so it was cool to do. And so watching him, I have a high school teammate that hooped with me. He's an engineer down there, big golf guy. And he's always, and there's some event that he helps down there. So big golf area. People that go to Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach used to not be all the golf courses you see now. I remember when all them golf courses wasn't down there. Now it's nothing but a golf destination. So I wanted to get that in. So right on for him. I hope it works out for him. I really hope it works out for him. Because one thing that I joked about, and I used to always hoop at this junior college. Well, at one point, I was going to coach basketball at the junior college when I was a cop, and this was probably 90. I had got a job, so I was a cop. I was working days. I had got a job as the assistant coach for the junior college. So I was about to start coaching, and these dirty motherfuckers put me on nights, and I couldn't take the job. But I remember years leading up to that, coaches would always ask me if I wanted to play at the junior college, because as if you read that about J.R. Smith, you can play another sport as long as you have eligibility. So I could have, but it's just one coach always, he really wanted me to play. And I was like 35, 36. And he's like, come on, you got the grades, you'll stay. And I'm like, yeah, but I mean, y'all don't pay nothing. Like, how am I going to pay my family? You know, it's like, well, we got some people. I'm like, you ain't got enough people. so I turned it down, but it made me think of that. They made me think of that, where I can't say I almost did it, but got the offer to hoop. Or I was considered to hoop. So I always thought that was funny. Not a whole lot going on in the world. One thing I put on Facebook, and again, I don't knock anybody for religion, but this is the part that I disagree with, is they've been using in churches. They use in barbershops. I mean, you see how desperate this beast is? And let me see if I can, oh, she's up. Whoops. I want to show this, though. And I'm going to post this every day. And yeah, here we go. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay. This thing is almost like a dang virus. The Samsung account. All right, let's try it again. And y'all see that you see what that is? That's the Tuskegee experiment. That's it right there. That's what you're considering right there. See that? And when you hear them say it's about the science, so is this. This was about the science too. You can find lectures where they lecturing about this shit, why this shit is necessary. Sounds the same rhetoric we see today. They preyed on them people. You're talking about predators. These Europeans preyed on these Southern sharecroppers. Free health care. So nothing should change your mind seeing this. Seeing this should be the main reason why. So just something to consider. Something to consider. I mean, you have to look at why they're so anxious. Now, if they give me 10 racks, that seems like a good trade. I think give everybody 10 racks. But you know what? If they would give 10, I would say, oh, you'll give more. And I'll play that game with him. The free agent of the dip. Oh, and yesterday my daughter had her. Yesterday my daughter had her 10th birthday, so she was joyful. And did you guys see another rapper got killed? I didn't run the numbers, but a 17-year-old, which is ridiculous. I don't know. I've been thinking about doing this. There's a young man, AK Nation, and he shows all the black folks that are involved in murdering, but uh just to show you it ain't just us. So this story is families of the mafia. Karen Gavano dishes on dad Sammy the Bull relationship with the Gambino family and his murders. Mother was brutally beaten in front of her daughter after honking at angry motorcyclists. These is all Europeans. Grandfather tortured and killed 12-year-old boy who was staying with him after school. And I'm sure it's many more. And it's not trying to shame anyone, but I'm saying it's you can't highlight all these melanated murders without showing the whole playing field. Because a lot of times what a lot of the conservatives do is they point that out, but they point out that more European people get killed by police. Well, show it. I don't see any shows of just European people getting killed by police. I mean, I've heard conservatives talk about this. I ain't heard them showing it. Well, thank you. So I think that's what I'm gonna start doing is looking for those kind of stories to balance the playing field. Because I do think AK Nation is. I think he's Army intelligence. I don't know how much intelligent, but he's some kind of. He works for them. He works for those people, not them people. So I wanted to put that out there. And I'm sorry to be jumping all around. Let's see. And again, most I mean, that's why they so desperate. That's why they going after you. See, right now the government can't do it. That's why they're going after the businesses, pressuring businesses to do it. So, hey, CWE, what's happening? Them others. There you go. Hey, Gray, what's happening? But thank you, CJ. Yeah, that little mug is getting so big. It's funny. I think the little balloon we got her. I guess it don't show. Her mother did up her house all. Her mother did her house all up and everything. That was interesting. Here's something else on the same point. In 2003, Time had the SARS. In 2004, Time magazine showed the bird flu. In 2005, I can't see what that is. 2009, mask. 2001, H1N1. 2014, Ebola. 2016, the Zika virus. And we know what went on for them. And it's like all this fear again. But this shows you. And then the one brother, I can't think of his name. He said they tried to say there was 27,000 cases. They broke that number way down because we know 27 is basically 9. We know 9 is tied up in deceit. So. And they're using pictures of hospitals in other cities. Like to say a hospital is full is kind of deceit. It's deceit because on the weekends, most in most cities, you'll find the ERs full. Do you know how big some hospitals are? And they're telling you these huge hospitals are full to capacity. Remember last year they made Uncle Imbecile, they made him pump out ventilators. Do you know how hard it is to retool, to make something, to totally retool? Because even the ventilator has little parts, and you know how hard it is to retool? It's almost impossible to do it within a month or two. And that's what they was asking Trump to do for something that will kill people. So the states are making us take it. The states, wow. Those people, not them people. There you go, Jay. I'll never take it. Oh yeah, I will. It's always exemptions. Yeah, it's always exemptions. You just got to be cool with the people. And this is the thing. Like, I think Nick Taylor showed it, and I've been talking about. I got the gauge of paper. I've been had copies of that stuff. I mean, I'm looking like when I went to Michigan, I was asking people, and they were showing it to me. And Michigan was less sophisticated than some others I've been seeing. So they sell the cardboard because they're mostly on thin cardboard. But that gauge of paper is so they're very easy to copy. We got laser printers that are damn near copy the money and make the money look like just like it. So, a simple card like that. This is what's funny. Somebody calls me today, says they know where they can get them for $200 a piece. They're like, yeah, we can get them for $200 a piece. I'm like laughing. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I don't need that. So this is how, but this shows you how shaky it is now. That it's not sophisticated yet. It's not even sophisticated enough where they can scan you and tell. You can even to get, remember, because sometimes you can have it put on your phone. You can even get that. That's out there where they ask you, here it is. But the simple right now is just to show your papers, and that's very Nazi-ish. Anybody watch a World War II movie about the Nazis and the Nazis say, let me see your papers? Ain't that what it is? Let me see your papers? Is that my Nazi? Is that my German voice? Guten Morgen. Let me see your papers. And then this is what I don't understand. Well, first of all, Pelosi says that Israel will get money. This is how she said it. You can follow it. Look it up. She says America would be burning. Israel would still get taxpayer money. America would be burning, and they would still get taxpayer money. That's what Pelosi said. Is that fair? What did I show? I talked about this months ago. The amount of money they got from this thing was almost 50 million each person. That's how much they think they are. 50 million each person. Oh, and this is another thing. It's something like only during World War II, it was only between 250,000 of them peoples in all of Germany. Guess how many fought for the Nazis? Look this up. Look up the first, during the Blitzkrieg, look up the first Nazi hero. It's one of them peoples. Look up Hitler's driver. One of them peoples. So do you know how many of them peoples was Nazis? Look up how many people the Nazis work with them peoples to send them people to Israel. This is a fact. Them peoples was working with Nazis. And in 20 or 21 or 22, they sent 20,000 people to Israel with the help of the Nazis. Look it up. First Take talked about it and mentioned about a chip being in it. I didn't catch that, CWE. Well, they trying to discredit people. And basically, it's a type of spike protein that will open up your DNA. It's almost like when you have herpes, and like people that have herpes, either general herpes or herpes around their lips, why they like cold sores. The reason why they'll always come back is because this kind of disease will go into your DNA, so they'll never go away. So you may not get cold sores all the time, but every now and then you're going to get them because it's in your DNA. That's what this is going to do. Now, as far as putting chips in people, I mean, I think it's been like that. Like, I don't know if y'all remember, but you remember when I was saying I was always seeing little squiggly lines in my water? That's little metals. I found out from somebody else. One thing that the Sugarite does when you filter, it pushes that shit up. So that shit, you see that shit on top. And I would just throw water away. And then I was like, oh, I could just scoop these out. But that's part of that's nanites. That's the metals they put in here. They put metals in our food. Been putting metals in our food. The clouds we know, the snow. I mean, when I was a child, we could make snow ice cream. You just didn't get the yellow kind of snow, but other than that, it was still cool. Now, anybody out there now feel comfortable enough to eat that shit? I mean, we'd be outside playing. If we was thirsty, we would just eat some snow without a second thought. Would anybody feel comfortable doing that now? So, I really need a card. It's a choice, no doubt. It's a choice. It's a choice. First Take was shitting on people that's refused. Oh, you know they really shitting on Kirk Cousins. You know, Kirk Cousins he bangs hard for the Christians, but did you see what the Christians did to him in his hometown of Holland, Michigan? Dropped him as one of the, I think, on the board and as a representative of the hospital. These people that he had put a lot of bread in, backed them, giving them free advertisement on his name. And the moment he stood up and was a man, you see how they trying to force him? They trying to force Lamar Jackson. Any of them. Because I already said, 15 racks if you miss a game because you test? So it's a beast system out there. It's more to it than what they're saying. It's a whole bunch more to it. And you can do all your studying. And it's funny, Zach showed the video. And you guys got to hear this guy talk because I couldn't, I don't have this phone. My Pro Max 12, this one ain't connected to Facebook. I ain't put none of that shit on this phone. And so I wasn't able to download it to Facebook because I don't have a face count on this phone, but I have. Let's see, yeah. No, I think I took it off of this phone. I don't know what I did with it. What I do with it, but it's the doctor that breaks it down. He breaks it down. Okay, I could put it on Facebook, but I couldn't. Yeah, because Facebook and Google don't get along, so I couldn't put it on Google. See if I can find this shit. They say they riding in France over. All right. I hid it from myself. I copied it and can't find it. Oh, there's Barbara. What's happening, Barbara? I think I'm back. According to this, I'm back. What's going on, Barbara? Here. I don't know what I did with it. I lost it. Okay, thank you. Good to see you, Barbara. Trap House, what's hey? All the Christian people are backing it. Yeah. Yeah, it's more reasons, right? Exactly. Yeah, calling you idiots. It's like It's like how it started. We was calling them dumb, but now they flipped the ball game. Oh, here's another one, and I'm switching the subject. But rapist beaten to death in prison after being placed in cell with victim's brother. And so apparently this was a hit. The old dude was a rapist, children rapist, and they put him in the cell. He had raped this dude little sister. And so dude beat him to death, but dude was saying when they was giving him a life sentence that he was set up. They was like, dude, he was saying the dude kept telling him what he did to his little sister, and he beat him to death, killed him. That is a setup. We saw the same thing done to the killer out of Milwaukee. You know, that was cutting off the heads and shit. They put him in the jail where the dude broke the dude said he wanted to be in general population. And he's cleaning up, and they put a psycho to clean up with him, and the psycho broke a stick off and stuck it up his rectum. He didn't wreck him. Hell, it killed him. And then it says an Army veteran who shot into a car full of black girls has been given 10 years. So he shot at some sisters. Soaking wet with water and blood. Police say they caught woman trying to shower. This chick killed her grandmother, and this chick had a protective order not to be around the grandmother. She kills the grandmother and she kills the grandmother's boyfriend. They was around my age. I would have beat her ass easy. She'd have had a knife. I'd have still beat her ass with a knife. But that's another story. Hey, woke sister, thank you for joining. Okay, yeah, Barbara, call me anytime. So now I can't find where I put that article. I wish I could have shared it. I'll probably find it later. But it's an individual choice. What is happening to Chauvin now? Chauvin gonna be put like when cops go to jail, cops have the option of being put somewhere else. Because before he was in a federal prison before. Because I knew that when they took him, he was in a federal prison. I've said that before. I kind of know some people, so it's like that Hmong dude. He ain't go to no when that Hmong, the Hmong cop here. He was given to them. As soon as he booked out, he was given to them. Well, I should tell the whole story. They never had him. They've got federal people that are Hmong. That's who had him. The Hmong that was part of it. Normal people wasn't holding him. Hmong federal agents or federal people. I ain't even saying they was agents. Well, I guess they are, but the coach pretty much said the same thing that Dr. Zach read 30 years ago. Yeah. And I was so mad because I got that stuff this morning. I saw that this morning. I saw it. I copied it on this phone, and I don't know how to transfer from this phone because, again, I don't have Facebook. So I got it somewhere on here. And I hope you guys listen to that stuff. This dude said he'll testify against any of them. He said Fauci is a fraud. And he said it cannot, they said, and this is what, if people didn't notice, he said it has an animal substance in there that can never go away because they put the animal substance in there. He said, so they can't make it go away. And he said he broke down the shot. Oh, they've been taking it off. I think they've taken it off YouTube because he's the first one that said, I will fuck up anybody in the country over this shit. You want me to testify? I'll testify to the science. He used this shit against them. He said, I will testify to the science. That's true. You right. Hey, what's up, Edward Bailey? I hope things are well for you, brother. I hope things have worked out for you. I hope you're good. You got a good point about that. Because the way they took me down, like now everybody's saying what I was saying before. And so I think the attack was a little greater before. So, but yeah. But I'm gonna start doing stories like that. You know, you got these people out here making stories and making our people look so bad, like we the most bloodthirsty and we gotta kill every day. When we are only told we what 14-15% of the country. And if you look at people who get murdered every day, it is those people get murdered every day by each other too. So you have agents to try to show that we're not human, that we kill each other. It ain't just the police killing us. So I think somebody should take a responsibility and say, and I say anybody else, you start sharing them stories or send them stories to me. And we'll start talking about that. Since AK Nation want to show how we kill each other every day, let's see how they kill each other every day. See, you got him capping for them peoples, those people. For those people, not them peoples, for those people. You trying to show how we kill each other. Well, let's show how they kill each other too. I mean, this young lady I just showed, they ain't even say a reason other than she was told to stay the fuck away from them. And this chick kills them both, slashes them both up, and then goes takes a shower with her clothes on. And when the police see one of the hurt people lying there, they kick the door in. And she's, she went in the shower and just showered with her clothes on. So we don't want to be singled out to just say that we are just violent people. So it's okay when we get violence. It was like when the thing in Brooklyn Center came, you got Slow Joe saying, don't be violent. So when you have violence put upon you, you ain't supposed to return in violence. But their history shows when violence is put upon them, they return it with violence. And if you don't believe me, they lied about what happened in Vietnam. They was attacking the coast of Vietnam with units, and then they put their little putt little boats out there, and then they want to say they get attacked. So that was the reason they ain't even call it a war. They start sending one time in Vietnam, it was 500,000 soldiers. 500,000 soldiers over there lied. They backed Saddam Hussein for 10 years to fight Iraq. He working for the CIA. And then all of a sudden he's out of control because Kuwait. Let's look at what happened after World War I. Kuwait was taken by America. That's American-made country is Kuwait. Saudi Arabia said after the war they should get all that shit. That was how the prince at the time after World War I, he said all that shit belonged to them. That ain't what they did though, did they? Kuwait is American-made country. They gave Iraq, still kind of American-backed, and then the British took or Iran, and then the British took Iran. We took Iraq, but we took Kuwait. Kuwait is American country. And so when the Americans was sideways drilling on his shit and he went in there and took some of that wealth back, was he wrong? Because in the States, it's illegal to sideways drill. It's illegal for you to go on an angle to steal someone minerals. I'm grinding. Good, Edward. Good in Dallas. Okay. The white guy just killed 1 and 3-year-olds. Didn't get the reason why he did it. Sad situation. Same with Gaddafi. Gaddafi, if you study that. I mean, Reagan bombed 3 of his children. I've said this before. Reagan bombed and killed like his grandchildren. And I remember, and this is not a made up story. I remember how delighted my father was. My father was like, Reagan will do it again. He just killed his grandchild and one of his stepchildren because they missed. I mean, the amount of things that Gaddafi put back into the country was almost unprecedented. get married, get 20, 30 racks. Free education, free health care. I mean, now no conservatives will say that this isn't a good thing. But this is what gets me about conservatives. A 40-hour work week is socialism. Because I said this before. When these rich Europeans opened up these factories during the smokestack society, motherfuckers was working 18 hours a day. And your children was working them that long. Unions and socialism said you should really only work 40 hours a day. Overtime is a socialism. Weekends off is socialism. Holiday pay is socialism. So you see how they want to pick and choose? And of course, Reagan was allowed to break up unions. I've said many times, they knew in the 50s that they wasn't going to make billions if they kept the auto industry in the North, in the Midwest. They knew they was going to make a little less. So they was allowed to break up the unions and take these jobs away without a tough president saying, if you destroy these Midwestern cities, we going to tax the fuck out you no matter where you go. Outsourcing used to be a thing. There used to be commercials about outsourcing. You know, like motherfuckers say, you know, keep me in the loop. Motherfuckers was like, that outsourcing was a spell word. Well, you know, I just outsourced it. You be talking to motherfuckers like, you know, I didn't do it. I outsourced it to somebody else. Taking away American jobs. And then it's proven that they brought crack. I mean, they got a TV show to show you they brought crack in. They invented crack. Fucking base ain't crack. Motherfuckers free base, that wasn't crack. That was a different chemical, a stronger chemical, a more expensive process. And the CIA said, shit, you can make baking soda and do the same thing. Just as much addictive. And if I told the story many, many times, Kalamazoo, Michigan, they wasn't even getting crack. I don't know what the fuck that chemical they was getting, but they was acting the same fucking way. This ain't even crack, and whatever they smoking, it's in their mind because they wasn't even getting crack. Motherfucker tried to sell me a kilo of this shit, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? Like this. I mean, it's insanity. It's insanity. The government that actually cares for all the people is socialism. Gaddafi was he was for black folks. There's a narrative that the media's fit their agenda exactly. Hey, Nicole B, thank you for joining. Hey, Sean, thank you for joining. Outsourcing is getting cheaper labor. Exactly. I mean, they got on Michael Jordan. There's people wearing Jordans. He getting them shoes done in Vietnam. Them people getting $1 or $2 a day, if that. Still getting them 1901 wages. Getting them shoes made per shoe. What was it? 10, 15 bucks. And then he's selling the shoe for 100 and something. And then they call it exclusive. They selling it more than that. And people still support Jordans. And nobody forced them to make them shoes here. Like the girl I'm helping her, she wanted me to look up some crystals, young lady. And like even my friend and I, we was looking to sell baby bags with sports names, you know, baby bags with sports stuff on them. And it was like, there was nowhere in America that we really could get them made to make a profit. It was like he found somebody overseas and I found somebody overseas. And it was like, we couldn't get them made cheap here. We had to look to somewhere else. And that's what I told her the same thing. I'm like, if you trying to do bulk amount of clothes, you ain't gonna want to get them made here. That's kind of how the clothing business is going. So Jordan got that Nike hookup on the sweatshops. Exactly. I mean, at least it was better when they had sweatshops here. At least some of the money went back into the hoods. But yeah. And people love them shoes. Yeah, 1901. Uh, but I mean, really look at this. And I know people don't want to think about it. What Ford did, like one thing that did happen good that Henry Ford did, and Henry Ford hated them peoples. You go to, I mentioned Greenfield Village. You go up to Greenfield Village, and if they let you, if it's still allowed, you can read his thing against them peoples. That's why he was a Hitler fan. Matter of fact, I've said this before. The Ford plant in Germany didn't get blowed up. And they kind of talk about the steel plants in Band of Brothers, that they wanted to get that soon as going as Americans took over. But his Ford plant, but he had a Ford plant over there. I mean, Hugo Boss in the 80s was still making clothes. Hugo Boss made Nazi clothes. That ain't nothing new. You can find that. If you don't believe me, look it up. And the Nazis was the best dressed. That Eisenhower little short jacket wasn't as fresh as the Nazis. The Nazis was looking good. I wouldn't mind going to the club, motherfuckers dressed like the Nazis and shit, because the shit looks so distinctive. The riding boots and shit, the Nazis, and then a scepter. Like if anybody's been to Fort Knox, you can see a Herman Goering scepter. That motherfucker sweet. You can just around with a scepter and shit. You got diamonds and shit and it's gold and it's a motherfucking scepter. What do you need a scepter for? I don't know. Just holding a scepter makes me feel better. LeBron got that hookup in China. Hey, Tech for your knees. Thank you for joining. Hey, Siova. Thank you for joining. Oh, and Siova, I'm taking your advice. I'm going to give this computer to my daughter, and I'm going to buy me a stand-up computer. Thank you for joining. Yeah, he got that hookup. In Southeast Asia, you can buy Air Jordan Classic shoes for 20 to 30. Trap House said the Chinese shoemakers started making replica Jordans now and selling them to make money. I've said this before. When I moved to Minneapolis in 06, that summer of 07, the shoes was identical. Matter of fact, Finish Line and some of them other stores were selling some of them fake Jordans. They were so well. These shoes were made so well. I've told this story before. It was one place I was getting them. Somebody broke in, and these was Africans making them. The Africans was bringing over here making them. The shoes were made so well where this store, like he had 2 walls just packed to the ceiling with knockoffs. Somebody broke in, somebody just rammed into the front of his store and stole 1 wall worth. This is how well made they were. I think it might be a pair of them, and this is from 07, still around here. I think my son might still have his pair, I think because I bought him a pair of the Carmelos, the original Carmelo 1 or 2 we bought, and I think it was a knockoff. But the shoes were so well made. I bought 1 pair of 3s that had that clear bottom. You couldn't hoop in them. It was too slippery, but they was good grass cutting shoes. But I mean, the shoes were that well made, and then the government cracked down, and by 10, the shoes weren't very good anymore. Shoes weren't very good. But always in Korea, like I've known cats that was over in Korea in the service, and they were saying how you could get any shoes designed in Korea you wanted. You could design your own shoe. You go to a cat, get the shoe design, and the dude, they would make your shoe within a day or 2. So you know how you'd get Korea to make them shiny jackets. I don't know people old enough to remember the shiny jackets that came from Korea. Other countries make our clothes. That's right. That's why most of the clothes are made elsewhere. Exactly. Like Trump talking all that shit, and his clothes made somewhere else because it's cheaper labor. And they purposely busted the unions up. I said before, I knew a lady, she was working at Kellogg's, and Kellogg's was about to close up. And this lady was making like 50 some an hour. Her job moved to Nebraska, where she was going to make $15 an hour. Now, keep in mind, she had to sell her house, and they was like, oh, houses are cheaper in Nebraska, food's cheaper. I don't care where you live. If you making $50 an hour and you go down to 15, you ain't going to really make it. I don't care how cheap it is. You ain't going to buy a house back then, and this is probably 15 years ago, if not more. This is probably like 18, 19 years ago. You wasn't buying no house for $15 an hour in Nebraska back then. Now, I've told this story before. Used to do CMM work. We Johnson Control had a company down there. Same thing. Auto plant supplier got sent down there. Those people were making $15, were wealthy. They were considered wealthy. Nuptial Queen, what's happening? Somehow. Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Stores sell, yeah. Stores was selling these fake ones. Them and StockX still do. I want my own shoes. The problem with it, you can get your own shoes made, but a lot of times it'd be the same bottoms now. A lot of the companies sell like one bottom. Like you can find the companies that make the bottoms, and then you can get the shoe on top. Wear Testers, he shows a shoe like that. But I found other people use that same site, and all the bottoms look the same. So they don't really look different. Well, thank you, Mr. Lamborghini. My aunt and uncle bought that shit. Yeah, that's crazy. Well, thank you, Nuptial King. StockX sell fake shoes too. All that verified. Yeah, I mean, I something hit my thing, and they was trying to tell me you could get them Concord, the ones with the Carolina blue. Because I remember I bought my son a pair. I bought my son that was. He was just walking, so he was 1 or 2. Because I bought mine, I bought his, and then I bought my other son a pair. And he was mad because I wouldn't let him. Because I was so serious hooper where my hoop shoes stayed in my bag. I never walked around in my hoop shoes. When I walked around, it was my old hoop shoes, but not shoes I was currently hooping in. That's how seriously I took them. So I wouldn't let him play around in them. He's like, I don't even like having these. I can't even go to school and wear them. I got to wear them inside. And that was wrong. That was wrong to me. I was like, don't you wear them damn shoes outside, them hoop shoes. Well, he wasn't really hooping at that point. So yeah. But when years went by, the shoes weren't the same. And so they cracked down. They cracked down on them. But the Africans, for a long time, the Africans had a good hookup. They had a good hookup. Because I was funny. I bought them. I remember buying the Carmelos, and then I bought a pair of Jordans because he hooped in the Carmelos. It was the 1s or 2s. This was like 11 or 12. I think he was a junior when he hooped it with the Carmelos. And I bought myself a pair of maybe the Bug Bunny Jordans with the Bugs Bunnies was, what was that? The 12s or 13, something like that. And I think but when I was looking, I was like, these shoes, I was like, I don't think these is real Jordans. After a while, I didn't think so. I was like, I don't know. They might be around here. I don't think those Carmelos, after grass cutting, I don't think the Carmelos made it. Like I mentioned before, the Sam Mitchell shoes, those got thrown away a long time ago. Yeah, custom made shoes are dope. Yeah. It's like a suit. Like that's one thing I loved about Jewtown in Chicago. And this is going back years, but Jewtown was one of the greatest places to buy clothes in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. I've said this before. I got 2 suits made for my graduation or my prom. And I walked into a place and dude was like, put all that chalk on me. And we came back in about an hour and a half and he had 2 tailor-made suits. And I mean, it fit me like I was a news anchor person. And then you would go, you would see in the alleys, it'd be Stacy's or Gators. But Stacy's, brothers was wearing them patent leather Stacy's. But it was one of the best places in the country to buy clothes. Now, people from Chicago, we remember that. Jewtown. Tailor-made clothes, pants. You get I know people now don't even know what having a tailor-made shirt is. But I mean, tailor-made shirt with the cuffs, where you had the cufflinks. And where it wasn't, it didn't kill you like it would today. Like go today and try to get you a shirt made and see how much that'll cost you. And I don't mean some shit that'll fall apart. I wore that suit, hell, all through college. And I got that the summer of my senior year. And I wore them suits for the next probably 6-7 years until I got fat. So them suits didn't fall apart and they was tailor-made. We was up in New York playing in the Meadowlands back then, and we walking through Times Squares, and my shit is looking, But what they say, Fifth Avenue shit, my shit was looking nice. Foamposite shoes are nice. Yeah. That my Adidas is some type of Foamposite. Them slides, I'm gonna order the black pair because those shoes are so comfortable. So comfortable. My elders always talk about Jewtown. Yeah, Jay. I mean, Jewtown was a great place. Like again, to get a custom shirt and get it monogrammed and get your pants monogrammed, get your name inside the pants, your name be inside the shirt. Like it don't be Donald Trump back there, it be your name back there. Oh, I wanted to say this. I think the other night I talked about seeing the trees and the leaves falling, and I figured out why the leaves are falling up here. The drought is so bad. And again, I live 5-minute drive from the lake. I mean, it's that close. I can smell. If you went outside, you can smell the lake. You can smell the lake. We live so close. But even the trees around the trees are the drought has hit so hard. And they say no matter how much snow we get, it's not going to help the soil. There's a farm and there's always water. Like where he lets these cows go, there's always water standing there. I've been down. This is my 6th summer down here. There's only the first year I moved down here was the only other time I saw this place without water. This place does not have any water, where these cows usually water up to their knees, part of it. The playground where I took my daughter, there's a little area on the other side of the playground that it was water where ducks and shit was over there. Nothing growing, nothing. Now it's all covered with growth, with weeds. And I was just like, as my daughter was playing, I was just like, man, this is all should be water. Yeah, so the drought is hitting pretty hard up here. To see trees going to sleep already and dropping their leaves, because trees feed. You know, when it's sunny, trees are feeding. I mean, trees are made to follow the sun. If you look at the way the leaves are, they follow the sun. So trees try to feed until they can't no more, and then they go to sleep. These trees are going to sleep already because there ain't no water. And we live off of a lake. So I don't know if you guys are catching that. I've had a couple people reach out to me on Facebook because I said the same thing. And they're seeing, you know, other Midwestern areas are seeing the same thing. So, and like we have water restrictions where you ain't supposed, like all the land, people ain't keeping ain't no hardly green grass. Now, what's funny is when I went in the city, the proper Minneapolis, when I went into Minneapolis, like my friend lives in Crystal, which is a suburb. And a lot of they got more green than it is down here. It was a lot more green up there. A lot more green. So it's interesting. Ain't like grass down here is all burned up. All burned up. So, and this is the funny thing. It's like my neighbor, because of this, the rent thing, she quit cleaning up after her dog. So she was letting the dog shit, you know, just shit all in the front yard. Like used to be, it's the tree outside my window. We used to put the table and we would sit around the table in the grass. Well, first she got fleas. There's fleas in the grass that she brought. And now she let her dog shit all over. So nobody goes out there. I have my stuff, my patio furniture over by my garage. But this is the thing I noticed. That shit is like all the moisture is out of that shit in a day or so, if not quicker. That is how the bugs is taking all that moisture out that shit. And we ain't got a whole bunch of dung beetles up here like that. But it's like they are getting moisture out of this shit in a, you know, what would normally take 3 or 4 days, it's breaking down in a day. That's how bad it is. Mosquitoes, like they spray for mosquitoes up in the Sky Riders are for the mosquitoes, but we ain't, you know, there ain't nowhere for them to nest because there ain't no just pools of water. We've had, other than the storm we had, at the point we had the storm last week, we had only 10 inches of rain all summer. 10 inches of rain all summer. Now, I don't know what the storm added. And now my friend lives 20 miles away. I heard a bomb. It sounded like a bomb went off. It didn't sound like thunder. It sounded like a bomb went off. And for him to hear it, normally you ain't going to hear lightning or thunder 20 miles away. He heard it too, because it woke me up, rattled the windows, woke me up. So I don't know what it was that blew up, but something blew up around here. And they hiding it. That was not thunder. To hear it 20 miles away. Tons of lakes are dried up here in California. Wow. Trap house, really? I'm eating why. I'm sorry, CW. But it's just it's amazing how just everything is so moisture. Now, my daughter's mother, she's doing her thing for a couple of days. So my daughter's living with me, and she has plants and shit, and so we taking care of her plants. And this is what's funny. She was going last week too, and so I go to water the plants, and I didn't test the water. I turn the line on, and I go to water the plants, and I'm noticing it's warm, dripping water dripping on my hand, and I'm like, I'm kind of, I'm a little slow sometimes, so I'm not really getting it. After a while, I'm like, wait a minute. Then I did my hand, it's scalding like water. And what had happened is when they had used the hose last, they let the water just stand there. This was hot, scalding like water. It wasn't steaming, but it was like shower water. And so a couple of plants got shower water. It was warm as hell. Because I was like, what is this? And I was like, oh. And then I thought, well, did they hook the water up wrong? And I'm like, no, because I had watered some shit before. And I'm like, oh, shit. The water was that hot in the hose where it felt like shower water. Not scalding, but just hot. Yeah. Oh, Jay. That's funny. That's funny. I didn't mean to gross anybody out. But that's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing. The lake's down. Boat repairs has been up. This is one of the worst years for boats. And they were saying that back in late May, early June, because the lakes are all like my daughter's godmother. They have a property on a lake, and they was telling me how much it was down. I know our local lake, Prior Lake, has been down, and it's like a lot of boats is hitting stuff because the water is so low. So yeah, that's a problem. And it's funny, like when people tell you, like, if something's coming and save water. Well, it's more than saving water. If you, like, I have some water right here under this cabinet. This water ain't no good. It's been in these plastic jugs for 2 years, untouched, untreated. That ain't good water to drink. You got to treat this shit. So I got to pour that shit out. I keep forgetting it's down there. I hope I remember, but I got to pour that shit out. If you save water like that, you gotta change it out. You got to change it out or treat it. So if you don't treat it, the water will go bad on you. So keep that in mind if you save water, because I had jugs everywhere, and I'm like, this water ain't no good. So I don't know. And it's almost to the point where the wickedness. Well, I guess we have to really start. How do I want to say this? Okay, Zach was making a point, and I guess I'll say this. Zach was making a point about, he said that the Catholic Church invented communism. And that's not really true. Communism was invented by them peoples, because them peoples in their history have never worked hard. They've never tilled land. So everywhere they go, and I've talked about the California gold rush as a perfect example. Levi Jeans. They'll make the tents, they'll sell the picks, they'll sell the shovels. So my point is, communism is what they like. The people that took out the Catholic government in Russia was them peoples. The Bolsheviks was them peoples. When Hitler goes into there, he fights them peoples. That's why I've said before, watching this movie on Trotsky, they still lying. They admit Trotsky was them peoples, but so was Stalin. So was Lenin. That's their system. That's them people's system. Who do you think put that shit in China? Them peoples is behind the Chinese. See, nobody would want to say that, but that's the fact. Because that's what they prefer. And they were once kicked out of China. They kicked them peoples and them Catholics out. They gave them Hong Kong until what, 99? But at one point, they put them all out because they had them all strung out on opium. But Mao Zedong or Mao Zedong brought them back in. He brought them back in. They love that, and they want to do that here. And that's, to me, what this is all about, is they're trying to turn this system into that. I mean, anybody old enough or study the Cold War? What happened when they split Germany in East and West? To go from one to the other, you got to have them papers. Canada. Now, Canada and Detroit is a bridge across from each other. You go into the tunnel. Do you know how many times we would just go back and forth? Now you got to have a drip or you can't go into Canada. You got to show your papers to go into Canada now. Now there's parts of up north in Minnesota where there's no checkpoints. You can just go right into Canada. Now, if you get caught, they might put you in a camp for a couple months, but there's nothing up there to stop you from going up there, up in the boundary waters, up where the Mississippi starts. You can go up north and see where the Mississippi is just a little ripple coming out of the rocks. That's how it starts. It's just a little ripple. They call it the boundary waters. But yeah, to go to Canada, they just opened up the gate. I think it's Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls is where I think it is, and you got to have them papers, which is them people's governing. Be careful, OG. They're going to strike the channel. Hi, Marco. Have you used water purification? I used to have one of them straws. Yeah, I used to have one of them straws. Yeah, I used to have the straw. You ever had them straws that you can drink anything out? I used to have a bunch of them. I think my children played with them, and I have to order some more. But yeah, I've had and Sugarite too. Now Sugarite, it'll take a while, but Sugarite will filter water as well. Thoughts on the Summer League? One of the freeways here in Detroit, they went on strike. Wow. The Summer League is interesting. What is the boy from Ohio State? He's a first-year player, and I've seen like they doing him like shoddy. He was player of the year, wasn't he? Obi, isn't that his name? Obi or something like that? The Nick, and they got him playing in that shit. Did y'all see Suggs? Did y'all see Suggs play tonight? You know, I'm gonna tell you, Suggs remind me of Chris Jackson or Atma Muhammad. He remind me of him watching him play tonight. But Suggs is gonna be all right. I don't know if y'all caught Suggs playing. Suggs has some nice highlights tonight. He's a good player. Hey, Jesse Lynn. Hey, wellness to you. Thank you. Same to you. Thank you. So yeah, the games have been good. I'm more of a watching real baseball than watching that. I've been watching baseball. I watched the Twins beat the Sox, and LA beat the Phillies. Because Gibson, they used to play with the Twins, was pitching, and they pounded him. Reading up on that dude who drove for Hitler, they had to make him an honorary Aryan. Oh yeah. But if you study him, Goebbels kept getting on him, and every time he would fuck up, they would send him to the Eastern Front. So he would go to fight them Russians, he'd fight them peoples, and he would kick a little ass, and then he would be back in good graces, and they have him back with Hitler. It's kind of funny how they kept fucking with him, But look up the dude who's the first hero of the Blitzkrieg when they went into Poland. It's one of them peoples. A bunch of them fought for him. And so that's the. And why do the people have to pay tax in Germany for them forever? They get reparations from Germany forever. It's 80 years ago. 75 years ago, and they still paying reparations to basically 250,000 people, if that many. Which we don't know the whole story. Because there's pictures out there of them camps where they playing sports. They got bands. So what? They just took them pictures. Jalen Green is good. Yeah, you saw Suggs. Okay. Jalen Green is good. Yeah, Jalen Green had a comfortable 25, or he had damn near 30. And them Young Rockets looking nice. Yeah, I thought they did too. Do you remember the swine flu in the 70s? I heard that discontinued after 50 deaths. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The Hong Kong flu. That went around too. One of them killed my little cousin. She was 6 years old. And I forget, maybe it was the swine flu that killed my cousin. She was 6 years old. And her parents just didn't take her to the hospital in time. And it's no blame on them. You don't know. And she just fevered and she passed at 6 years old. Yeah. So I remember that, the swine flu. And I think that's what, no, she died. So it was something else. But yeah, the Hong Kong flu went around when I was in grade school. It was called the Hong Kong flu. And that was getting people sick. But the flu period gets people sick. Like Nick Taylor showed a beautiful thing on, what was it, 19, how devastating it was. How devastating it was. And there was no lockdown. That they showing that all this, the lockdowns and everything is unnecessary. It was unnecessary to shut down the country. Had nothing to do with this thing. It had to do with crushing small businesses. That's what this thing was all about, was crushing small businesses. I told you, I got two friends. One lost his millions. He had restaurants all through this area. And I mean, nice, high class restaurants, not a franchise. This motherfucker owned several of these. And in my area, there's two, but that building's empty now. Now, my other friend's doing well. He's doing well. He was able to have enough savings. This dude, he tried to do the right thing to the end, and the shit ate him up. The shit ate him up. Took his businesses away. I mean, he got his crib and everything, but took his business away. This dude was knocking down serious money. I mean, these restaurants was the cheapest meal was like $15, $16. So this is a high class place. You got to go in there with a little bit. You ain't going on a date where you're gonna spend less than $100. You take just you on a date, you're gonna spend damn near $100. By the time you get tipped and drinks, it was that kind of place. Wasn't like the Olive Garden. Most of that shit's in there kind of expensive too, but I'm saying this place was nicer than the Olive Garden. This was a really nice place that he had. Really good food. And so sickness is always, see, this is what people forget. People die every minute. Motherfucker's born and the motherfucker die every minute. Every minute, somebody is born, somebody dies. And right now, if you do the world clock, it's not even close. The amount of births to the amount of deaths in the world. I mean, you can narrow it down to America and it still ain't close. It's all fear they putting out there. Mask, what is, that the mask thing is like when they shut me down before, it was just the experience my doctor had. This is how scared they apparently were just telling about my doctor, what she said about one of her colleagues and what happened with the drip with him. And it was with these Democrats taking over. Fear mongering. Exactly. Fear mongering. Yes. What would this second shutdown destroy? Because the small business really didn't make it. Your civil liberties. That's what it would destroy. Your movement. Your civil liberties and your movement. I mean, they're going to be serious about these papers. When he say going door to door, they're going to go do shots door to door. That's what this new shutdown is going to be about. It's going to seriously take away your civil liberties, seriously come to your house if you don't have a drip. That is what the second shutdown will be. They're going to have deputized people going. They're telling you what they're going to do. They're going to go door to door, deputized, to make you for the greater good. Because there's some laws that go back to the Pox laws of the late 1800s. or the early 1800s, mid 1800s, the Pox laws. There's certain communities that already say that if it's best for the community, you can be forced into taking it. So you might want to look at what's on your books in your state and get them exemptions ready now. I had a lady talking to me about asthma today, and she asked me about that shit. We talking about asthma. What's that got to do with asthma? What's that got to do with asthma? Ain't got nothing to do with asthma. But that's the agenda. It's some agenda. And then she's getting, data. And they're afraid of the free voice. They're afraid of that. Because when they say that these people are on social media, these people are on social media teaching. And they don't like that. Like that video that dude made that Zach shared, it was on, I got it on one of my Google News later. I saved it somewhere in the phone. This came on yesterday. That came out yesterday. It wasn't today. That came out yesterday. Or at least that was the first time I saw it on my news feed. And I wasn't Google, some of the Apple news. This is a dude who's an expert. And they removing his stuff. And he's an expert because he does not fit the agenda. But look at you see Don, you know why dudes get these baggy eyes. You know what that means, don't you? When you see dudes with all this hanging, I'm not gonna say, but you have to look that up. Now I've irritated my eye. But that Don, that's all they talk about is fear, fear, fear. And then you've got the conservatives on Fox saying, well, it's your choice. You got sports announcers trying to say people are stupid. What did we say a year ago? We were saying people were stupid to wear masks a year ago. And look, ain't no mask mandates and these people wearing them. I told you, one of my cousins, she just turned 63, 64. She's talking about she gonna shelter in place without being told to. Because she believes everything that she's told on the news. The news is ran by the CIA. Y'all should know that. The CIA has run the news since the beginning. Because after World War II is pretty much when TV came into. TV really came out, 28, 29? There was television. It wasn't a lot on, but I think it's 28 or 29. So at the end of World War II, going into the 50s, CIA was in for the very beginning. I talked about the FBI shows. Hey, Mo Ray, thank you for joining me. Motherfucker scared, but still fucking raw. Marco, that's funny. That's another scare tactic, though. It's women in their 40s that only have sex with condoms. If you single woman, it's women in their 40s. That's the only way they really would have sex is with condoms. I just get quiet. Whoops, I missed it. Hey, Mo Ray, thank you for joining. If I didn't say what's happening. What did she say? Jesse Lynn said, I get quiet when people start discussing all that in public. You can't argue with fools or subscribe to fear. No, you can't. You cannot. I got it from my boy's Instagram page. Rashard Jamal. You got to tell me a little more about that. Is that a player? I don't know that name offhand. Tell me a little bit more about it. Troy Free Press ran an article talking about the Amish trying to drum up drama against them. Yeah, I heard somebody else was talking about that today. Yep, same script all over. I walked into the hospital ward without a mask. They said, if I get sick in a couple of days, this is where I caught it. That's funny. That's funny. But yeah, who is Rashad Jamal? Remind me who he is. I don't know that name offhand. Is he a player? Or what is it? I missed it. Okay, Rashad Jamal. Something happened to him? Okay, I haven't checked him out. Did something happen to him though? No, he just made a movie in 20. Did he get killed? God Talk or Malcolm King, real ones? Okay, I have to check him out. I don't know nothing about him though. Malcolm and King, okay. I don't know nothing about him. He's from Chicago. A indigenous American Rican. What's happening? Oh, that's a rapper from Chicago. Okay, no, I'm not hip to him. I'm not hip to him. Well, thank you. Is has a YouTube page exposing shit. Pretty dope. Okay, well, I'll check him out. I'll check him out. I'll check him out. I mean, this is what I this is my thing with Zach too. It's like he gives them a pass. He gives them people's a pass. It's just the Jesuits, and I can even break that down. Let's break it down again. When Isabella put in Inquisition, it was against them peoples. All right. So what they did is in flocks. If they didn't get put out the country, they conversos. That's where the term converso comes from. So she puts them out. So a bunch of them found it was easier and they were more powerful to stay in the Catholic Church. Now they're more Catholics. The conversos and them peoples, when they switch over, they're more Catholic because they found out they have more control being Catholics. I mean, the Pope, them are them peoples, all that, the way they took the land and everything. Look at when the Orthogoths, when they was taking that area. And look who finally got that area. And look why they built there. That's all them peoples. But Zach broke down and admitted the Jesuits got them peoples in it. And listen to one old guy, he said it the best. He was like, well, them peoples watch over the evil. They control the evil people. So this guy kind of admitted that them peoples control the Jesuits because the Jesuits are evil. And so the evil needs to be controlled. That's basically what this dude said. Evil needs to be controlled so them peoples control the evil. Let me say it for a third time. Evil needs to be controlled so them peoples control the evil. Can't make it any simpler than that. I found I clean instruments after surgery. Oh wow, yeah, that I had a friend that did that. She made good money. She was making like $20 an hour doing that. Says a lot of stuff you say, but I think he gets a lot of info from you. Oh, okay, wow. Well, there's a bunch of people that I caught the one chick. What is her name? I caught that one chick using my stuff and my brother's stuff. What is her name? Lucid. What is this chick's name? Lucid, some old shit. But she's got a big channel. Lucid Living TV, something like that is her name. Lucid Living. Caught this chick using my shit, talking about there needs to be awareness community. I said that shit months ago. Texas, I found a phone. This phone. Okay. So I tell you what. Yeah. See, okay, that's a good question, Moray. What do I think about the Lionsgate portal? Well, what was the other thing? It was the Mars shit, the retrograde. Remember that was around, the Mars retrograde? How many people study it enough that they're going to feel that? How many people study it enough they're going to feel that? And the same thing with this portal. How do you, like, if you never knew about this, you never studied enough to know that this is coming, how has it affected you? How can you benefit from it if you don't study astrology enough? And so if you're hearing about this from someone else and you're not studying this, you can't benefit from it. Now, the people that I know that follow astrology, okay, they can benefit from this. They was like, this is what's coming. But for us, for average people, there you're not going to benefit from it if you have not been following it the whole time. That's my thing. Now, is there a little energy that you might get? Maybe. But again, it's you kind of put it there. You kind of put it there because you what is it called? Psychosomatic, some shit like that. You put it there. So most people ain't gonna benefit from that. I personally think it was important if you give it benefit. The mind is all. Yeah. I'll be like yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly, Tyrone. Yeah. Wearing it hurts you because every time I wear one, it makes me snuffy. It makes me stuffy. It fucks with my asthma. So wearing that shit. And then they made children play sports. My daughter, I was like, put that shit under your nose. She was like, no, they would yell at us when they were making them run around. I mean, we had children here pass out, fall out in the government. The Democratic governor wouldn't take the mandate away. They made them hoop with these masks on. They would let them wear them to here, but they hooping with their mouths closed. When you get tired, you start breathing out of your mouth and your mouth is blocked. Yeah. Yeah, your mind determines everything. So I would say this, Moray, if you, again, it's hard to touch with that. If you really don't, if you learning that secondhand without you studying it and expecting it to come in, it's not really going to benefit you or shouldn't affect you. I'll say that. Yeah. So yeah, that's the problem with the mask. They mask is for surgeons not to spit in wounds. It's for if you working with fucked up chemicals, it's to block the chemicals. And if this was that serious, we would have all been wearing the big chemical like the paint mask. You know, that you got the filters in here, that harmful gases. That's what we would be wearing. They telling you to wear the regular kind. What do they say? If it's homemade, just wash it more often. It doesn't stop anything. It's the sign of obeying. That's what it really is. It's the sign of obeying. They wanted to see if they could get everybody obeying and how many people would fight. Because like I had a person on Facebook that lives in Michigan talking about he went into the store early in the morning where ain't nobody there. Early in the morning, ain't hardly nobody there. Michigan has Myers. And he said him and two other people was the only people he saw. It's 5, 6 in the morning, ain't nobody up in there. So why would you be worried? Why would you feel that you were? But he works for them. He works for those people. He works for he works for Pfizer. I'll say that. He works for Pfizer. And he was a Pfizer defender, but I understand that's your job. But Pfizer is the most sued pharmaceutical company in the history of man. They paid the most money out for killing people with their drugs. So they can't take me off of that because that's public knowledge. Look it up. Yeah, I don't know who the fuck Jeff was. Jeff needed a timeout because I think Jeff was I don't know. I've just been waiting for Zach fans. And I ain't against Zach, you know. As I said before, it's subjective. As I showed, the pendulum is got 3 possibilities. So you match my 3 possibilities of my pendulum, and you tell me that shit match up. Don't tell me you get it. How did I want to put this? The way they do this is so how do I want to say this? So say, okay, it's like this. It's almost like this. Say you want to win a prize. And there's only one answer for the prize. Okay? So there's only one way you can win the prize, but not the gematria people. The gematria people say, no, there can't just be one answer. We've got to have at least 4 to 6 answers. And if it matches with the 4 to 6, see, we're okay. That's subjective. That's And that's almost a cheat. That's like taking a square block, making it round. We're going to have so many chances that we can make it fit. That's how I look at it. It's a divination and nothing more. Nothing more. So it ain't the end all be all. It's hard to run around in a mask, no doubt. Hugo says, Zach works for them peoples. He works for them peoples. There's no doubt. And I ain't mad at him. I understand. Zach making $100,000. He making $100,000 sitting at home. So he found a way to make money on this. Can't knock anybody's hustle. The greatest superpower of the universe is happiness. I would say love. I would say love comes before happiness. But not happiness. It would be joy or bliss. Because if you accept happy, you got to accept sad. Bliss has no opposite. Joy and pain, it's not. Love has no opposite. Love is supreme. So you don't want happiness because you got to take sadness. They go together. But bliss, joy, they try to downgrade love by saying hate, and they don't go together. Because you can hate something you never loved. They don't go together. They want to make you think that that's the opposite, and it's not. Love is supreme. Love has no opposite. I mean, one thing that the Christians writing, they say love each other. That's why I say when I end, at the end of the day, I'm another yourself. And that means treat me the way you would treat yourself. You looking at yourself in the mirror when you're dealing with me. So you treat me how you would treat yourself. He's been stringing the audience along for years. He's made some money. I think he was a little disappointed. And that's like, it's nothing wrong with writing books, but I've had people come to me years ago just on me writing bullshit on Facebook asking me, do I want to write a book? And so it's something about something about being an Arthur, King Arthur, author, King Arthur, part of the round table. Rochelle Walensky, CDC director, signed eviction memorandum. She owns U.S. private property. There you go. The microfibers in masks are made from that is linked to cancer. Thank you, Tyrone. Al Green said love and happiness. There you go. Love will make you do wrong. Doctor, there you go. Well, what did he say? If loving you is wrong, I do not want to do right. If loving you is wrong, I don't want to do right. Because if me being right means being without you, I'd rather be a wrong than a right. I remember I sat in North Carolina. We was in Winston-Salem. We was seeing Joe Tex. And I think Ingram singing, not James Ingram, but it was another dude named Ingram that sang it. Everybody got up and threw the Nazi salute. He started singing that shit. Oh, I was young. I was like 4th or 5th grade. But it was just funny. Everybody stood up. That was like, I guess the players all stood up. It was like, yeah, we feeling that. Author. There you go. It makes you think. So, I don't know. I just saw something about being in them books. I don't know. Because, like, I'll show you an example of. Now, this is a very well-written book. Very well written, but look at the material. See? And the information is golden, but the material. So, you compare to these books about the same. And this one ain't never did that. I mean, it's cracked a little bit here, but I mean, it's a lot to consider when you put a book together. This is like in a used book. I couldn't sell this. Used book and not get value out of it. But you see, because he didn't pick the right gauge. He probably didn't know. And so his book did this. Don't really protect the book. See, even some of the pages is turning because this turns. Most of the time, I keep this book flat down. So it's a lot of things that you got to consider. So, yeah, that Tales from the tour bus is funny. Like I said before, I saw Sly Stone when I saw Parliament Funkadelic in Greensboro, and that must have been maybe the summer '82. Saw Roger Troutman, but they brought him out. Like he came out, they started playing Stan, Stan. He came out, he sat down, and he went right back. He went right back off stage, and they just went through it. But in that Tales from the Tour Bus, they talk about they went somewhere, and they said in the green room, Sly Stone is freebasing. So yeah, that shit's kind of funny. Luther Ingram, I thought was a woman singing for years. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that is Luther Ingram. I think that is his name. But yeah, that's the song he sang. Isaac Hayes sings it too. He has a version. That's the cheat song. It be broke people trying to have concubines, you know. And I was stuck into that too. Thought I had to fuck on everybody, you know. It's a young man's tale. I ask me why. Can't even tell you why. It was like you'd ask people why they started smoking crack or why they kept smoking. They couldn't even tell you why. And I couldn't tell you why. Why it was just like I was like that in college. Like that's the thing with my first wife. She wasn't my only girlfriend in college. So what did she think when we got married? She caught me a bunch of times with people. Coming over to my apartment, I'm thinking it's one of my friends coming over, and then she there at the door, and I got a little girl sitting in there with me. You know, young lady sitting in there with me. So, and then next day she back over. She back over there the next day. I'm sorry, baby, it'll never happen again. That kind of thing. Do you think there will be another lockdown? Yeah, I do. I do. They want their boots in our necks. It's gonna be full. I mean, they're turning again. Them peoples is the one that love communism, and they turning this country into communism. They got a lot. This is the strongest them peoples have ever been, and they're behind this with all the money, and now they got all the governments behind them, and this is the communist push to make the world one government, one religion. That's what the George Bush was talking about. One, new world order. That's what he was talking about. One government, one religion. They ain't gonna let you have every religion. When this shit in, it ain't gonna be that every religion shit's gonna go away. They're already trying. They got a shit now called Christo Muslims. Christo Muslims. That's the term. Christo Muslims, where the Muslims and Christians, which they all, I mean, who wrote the Old Testament? Ain't the Old Testament is them people's stories they stole about other groups? Because them ain't the stories about them. They plagiarize them stories from other people, but they claim it. I mean, if it was separate, and that's why they hated the movie Passion of Christ. They hated that movie because it made them look like who they are. So they hated that shit. That's why they hated Mel Gibson. Because they showed that shit came from them, their jealousy. Saying this ain't the Messiah. So brutally beat him and hang him up. You remember when that movie came out? They hated that shit. Because it don't make them look good. So now I'm thinking about taking my money out of stocks and starting a car sales business. Okay. The cheat song, yeah. Even the pandemic, people need cars. I tell you what, the market, if you really I know a guy that was selling cars. Them cars was having 200,000-300,000 miles. He was taking them over to the Middle East and selling that shit. He was like, it don't matter. He's like, how many miles on it? I'm like, we'll take it. And he was selling cars around the world. He was selling cars in Europe and the Middle East. And this is what people used to get mad at me when you thought that people used to think Mercedes was such nice cars. And I remember watching movies and I'm like, wait a minute. These motherfuckers is taxi cabs. I don't know if y'all paid attention to movies in the 70s and 80s. You would see a movie over in Europe and you saw Mercedes taxi cabs. And so you would hear the stories that they don't cost as much over there as they cost in America. And then you look at Mercedes from 94 to 08 is some of the worst cars ever made. You look at the 2001 S-Class Mercedes that was 80, 90,000 back then. It was one of the worst cars ever made. And Enemy of the State talks about that. Remember when they jack a person in the Mercedes and Will's like, this is a nice car. And Gene Hackman says, no, it's not. Some of the worst cars ever made. They was taxis. But I would argue with dudes. I'm like, wait a minute, they had, no, ain't nobody, they ain't got these Mercedes. Yeah, they do. So that made me look at them cars like, them cars ain't that great if they using them for taxi cabs. I do want to bring up Quantum of Science brought up something, and I wanted to bring this up before I forget about it. And I'm gonna tell you my experience, and then I'll bring it up how he put it in there. So when I talk about time control, it's a real thing with me. It really is a real thing. Now, the first time I really noticed, well, I guess I've had a couple instances. I've had to go back in time and kind of help me. How do I want to say this? I helped my mother save me one time. I'll say that. And I won't say much more than that. But I helped my mother back in time, help me. But to get to my point, so one day I was driving, just wasn't paying attention. And I got to looking at this old car next to me. The next thing I know is I should have ran into the car in front of me. But when I looked, I was like at the same spot where I had looked at the car. And I just like, how did this happen? Now, I talked about ghosting. It's very similar to ghosting. And I've talked about the story where I fall down the stairs. And I also say where, before I fell down, I go back to the exact step. Well, I guess I'll tell the whole story. So I walk down the stairs and I fall down the stairs. And then when I look up, I see myself standing up there. And so next thing I knew is I'm in the step before I fall down, where I'm walking down the hallway. I'm walking down the hallway again. Other times I see myself like this cat. I don't know if y'all just heard this cat sneeze, but this cat and I used to walk down to he would lay in bed with me when my girl and my daughter left. And when I would get up, we would walk down the long hall. Well, one morning I'm walking in the hall. I see myself making coffee already. I told another story where I'm driving. You know how you can cut across the highway. You have a left turn and you wait till your turn and you can get across the highway. I see me and my truck go. It's like it was a situation where either I let the car go or I vroom fast and beat the car. Well, this thinking, I didn't go. I watched my truck go and drive up the hill. And I made a joke about it. I said, well, that me was in a hurry. So that's called ghosting. But I guess there's another part of it that kind of goes into where this thing will change. Now, Quantum of Science talked about it changing watching a movie. Like he had a movie not marked and he's watching a movie and the movie changes. Some shit's added in the movie. The only way I can relate to a movie is, and I didn't see it change, but I noticed the movie changed, is the movie Fresh. Now in the movie Fresh, he has a little partner that always kept saying, I got all the dope moves. Well, he goes to Estevan, the heroin dealer, and he says, I got the dope moves. And Estevan goes, you got the dope what? That ain't in the version you watch today. Chucky says, I got the dope moves, and Estevan don't say shit. But in the original movie I watched, and again, cutting and everything, but the original movie I watched, Esteban says, you got the dope what? Now, if anybody's seen Fresh, the first time I saw it, that's what he says. But I guess this reality is they've caught it where it's some shit like you looking at the shit and the shit is changing right in front of your eyes. And those are my examples of how that happened to me. So that might, this Matrix, if like when you look at the Simpson movies and they try to show shit happen in the Simpson movies, did it really happen the first time they showed it? Because it really didn't, because the emphasis wasn't on the thing that you could say, well, damn, they talked about it then. Well, it didn't really mean anything, so it didn't really live like it did then. But my point is, and I think his point, and I don't agree with everything he says, but a point that he says is definitely does happen is the past can be changed too. So keep that in mind. The past can be changed. I mean, events can ripple through space-time and they can change the past. And I've talked about this a little bit before, where you had a book and the book says some shit and then you go look at it. Like, where the fuck is this shit? Oh, Divine Networking. Hey, thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Divine Network Solutions. There's a huge car shortage. Factories ain't producing the microchips. That's a good point, Chris. Thank you for joining. Lucid Motors, Tesla Motors, competitor stock is only 20 cents. Wow, you ain't lying on those. Mercedes was junk. Oh, that serpentine belted them go, and it's expensive to like my Land Rover. I talked about my Land Rover. I had a 08, 09. I had a Land Rover Discovery, and my power rack and steering went out. And a normal car, $400, like putting it on and everything. Shit, I had to get a part. It was $1,500 for the part. And it was like $1,500 to put the motherfucker on. $3,000. And it wasn't no more sophisticated than any kind of four-wheel drive out there. It was just a rack and pinion. $3,000. Yeah. Quantum mechanics is a science of spirituality. There you go. What's that from? A Matrix glitch? Well, there are some events that ripple back in time too. So, and it just doesn't ripple now, and it doesn't just affect the future. It can affect the past too. Neville Goddard talks about how the past can be changed by imagining things happen differently. It's called the law of assumption. Yeah, somewhat the Mandela effect. Yeah, somewhat Jesse Lynn. But law of assumptions, yeah. You can imagine what you want to assume you already had it. Yeah. I can't find the super chat. I wanted to ask Awen, is there any significance with black cats? Been seeing these cats elsewhere more than normal. This isn't me giving anything. Then look for. Now we were talking, like people was talking about the Lionsgate. If you still seeing them black cats, it might be a portal near you. And I can't say you can benefit depending on where your awareness is, but I would see if there's a little porthole that you could maybe just get a minute of shift. So if you're seeing them all the time, they're trying to give you a message. Because after a while, like the Matrix show, it'd be the same cat. What you say, did it look like, or was it exactly the same? So yeah, if you're seeing them, because it's actually a good thing. That's why they try to make anything black, but that's a good thing. If you're seeing them, that's a good thing. Divine, a lot more than lately, sitting on the porch when I came home. Yeah, so the Air Ride and the Navigator cost about that much. Oh, the stupidest thing they ever put on the Navigators, well, the Air Ride and the Marks and the Air Ride and the Town Cars was the stupidest shit they ever did. But I used to have one of them Navigators when it had the, with that rail came out, the foot rail came in and out. That was some of the stupidest shit ever done. And it's like the trunks that close by themselves. You know how many times that would break? And like putting, like when you would get like a Continental, the Continental, all of them had air rides. Like I was looking at somebody else had a Mark 8. I had a Mark 8 and it had air rides all around. I was coming back from Cleveland. I was driving from Cleveland back to Kalamazoo or Battle Creek, probably Battle Creek. And one of my air rides. So my car, I'm driving tilted. The car is still dry, but it's like tilted. Because one of my front air rides went out. Sometimes them air rides would go out in there and drop your whole car. So yeah, it was something that's stupid. Like most people, if you get a Continental, and they change out the air rods because that's some bullshit to have in your car, you know. But yeah. Uh, I don't believe in bad luck. There you go. Yeah. No, you make your own luck. I had a C1500 with an air suppressor. As soon as the suspension went out, it was basically useless. There you go. Yeah, that air suspension is fucked up. Mercedes like had a little thing where you could blow them back up, but when that bladder went out, that was it. That was it. Once that bladder went out, but that's even now. It's like like with the Land Rover again, 3,000. The car was barely worth 3,000. I think at the time the car was probably only worth about 4 or 5,000. I mean, this was 8 or 9, something like that. So you know, it wasn't worth getting it done. uh, but the foreign cars is more expensive. Like even like if you thinking of getting one of the Lexuses, the Lexus, like if you thinking about getting let me see, Cam was born in 2. Yeah, it's one of them Lexus from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Lexus. Stay away from them because there's a cheap part that they got to take the whole engine apart to get to this cheap part. And so it's not worth it because you got to, for this cheap part to get fixed, and I can't think of it. I got it written somewhere in my notes, but it's a part they put it under the engine, and you got to take the whole engine off to just get to this part. So it ain't worth it. When that part goes, it fucks your car up. So Lexus, you know, I don't know if people remember how Lexus started. Lexus got a Cadillac, and Lexus got a Benz, and this Lexus is owned by Toyota. Lexus ain't nothing but a Toyota. And they took all them cars apart and they reverse engineered to make the first Lexus. And they ain't nothing but expensive Toyotas. Like that base Lexus is nothing but Avalon. It's nothing but an Avalon. So you paying a lot for an Avalon. Oh. I know this water's pretty good. It's been sitting for a few days. I know this is some good Sugarite cleaned water. I just got a 76 Vet with a 350 small block in it. No trunk, and it's the coolest little car. Can't sit in the drive. Sit in the drive, though. It gets too hot. That's funny. My stepdad bought one of them, the most worthless Vets was like 80, 81, 82. Well, probably the Vets is fucked up from when they really 73 when they quit making them big engine Vets. So 73 to about 84. Yeah, them Vets wasn't shit. My stepdad had when they were still go though. I had his up to 130. He had an electronic. That shit did 130. But it didn't have a lot of it wasn't gonna give you, takeoff. It wasn't there. The best vet now ain't the new ones. The best vet now is the 16s. The 16s, you can get damn near 700 horsepower. The new ones is about 5 something. But I got a neighbor that's got a 16. That motherfucker, because they meet up all the time. And this dude, like the new one, he said he got stopped. What did he say? He said dude clocked him going about 150. Lucky he didn't. He said he went over a hill, but he said dude clocked him. So lucky he's like, dude gave him a break. But he said he was going about 160, 150, 160. Yes, Toyota and Lexus are under the same financial company. All the paperwork from RAV has Toyota and Lexus letterhead. Yeah, it's Toyota. It's Toyota. Yep. It's Toyota. Like Nissan is Infiniti. They just tried to make a Cadillac. That's all. They tried to make a Cadillac. Like Mercedes doesn't have another one. But like Audi's is nothing but Volkswagens. Audi is Volkswagen, Porsches, they all under the same one. And now this new company that's taking over Chrysler and them, I'll be very, very leery about like I was talking about Land Rover. Land Rover is owned by an Indian company that had quality problems. And the company that basically owns Fiat owns them Chryslers. So like really, if you was to get a 300, get one before Fiat took over when it was still Mercedes. Because Mercedes bought Chrysler. Mercedes bought Chrysler for something like 30 to 50 billion, and they sold that shit for like 20 billion. They've like, get rid of this shit. Get rid of this shit. It used to be only almost 2 companies at one time. Ford owned Mazda. Ford used to own Benz. GM owned Volvo. GM used to own Subaru. GM used to own Chrysler owned Mitsubishi. Trying to Isuzu's. I remember when I was working at American Fibber, which later became Johnson Control. We made the same door for the Malibu. So this would have been, let me see, Brennan was, so the 96, 97 Malibu and Toyota Corolla was basically the same car. So GM helped Toyota at one time. We made the Malibu doors and we made the Toyota Corolla doors. Same car, basically. The Malibu, the 96, 90, 95, 96. I'm trying to think when I worked there, how old was my son? So yeah, something like that, 96, 97. Yep. Japan is usually known for making durable cars, but I didn't know about the cheap part that I got. I got like a 2010. No, Chris, yours won't have that. Yours won't have that. If you got a 10, they changed it. It's before, it's after. A 10 would be after. The 10 would be after. And look up that part. I got it written somewhere. I'll have to look that up for you. But it's a part that they put under the engine. But a 10, you be safe because they changed it. Yep. I like that Lexus LS 500. I have a Prius, great gas, and spend $45 a week hybrid. Oh, that ain't bad. What do you think is the future of African American culture? Is there one anymore? Is there? Will it encourage the ghetto mindset? Rap music will shift to something else. It was a time where we had the conscious rap come up, and you see how they destroyed it. They destroyed it with gangster rap. So I don't know if it is something that can ever be. Our culture is at pretty much like look at what they did. They make us be entertainers. It went from playing baseball to playing football to playing basketball. I mean, they purposely like I going into how Jackie Robinson grew up, how he grew up. There was baseball fields everywhere. How people like me grew up, there was basketball courts everywhere. And then all of a sudden there's rappers. So it was a way that you ain't got to go to school to make it. So entertainers. I mean, that's that mindset. Everybody want to be entertainers. Man, how many people personally know people that want to rap? I mean, I know a little dude right now. He works at the casino here. He got a studio in his house. Be bringing my boys in rapping with him. I mean, want to be entertainers. Think that's the way. I mean, the problem is and this study goes back into when I was in college, how there are companies that will go around melanated culture and they will study them and they will see where they can make money off of them. Like the simplest thing I could say is my brother and his wife got married when she graduated. So she was 18. But I remember her talking about how they was wearing their sweatshirts inside out their whole senior year. That was a thing. Everybody wore their sweatshirts inside out. Next thing she know, you go to the store. They got the tags on the back. And so they study our culture. They got scientists, social scientists that study the culture to how to make money out of it. And so that's our problem. It's like soon as we invent something, we put it out there. It's like, don't you know when you make a patent, you have an invention, you make a patent. So the way you release the patent is, and I don't want to take this apart, I'll take it apart like this. You release this at first, and you tell people what they could do with it. And then you would release, say without this piece, because I don't feel like taking it out. Then you release this. You don't release everything of your patent all at once because your patent only got a certain amount of life to it. And so you release the patent one, parts at a time. Like you release so much that it'll be functional, but you hold back the rest of the shit. So you don't give it out there. And that's too much. That's one thing that we do is we release too much. And so people, The people that should, yeah, Honda and Acura, yep, that's the same thing. Yep. So it's hard. I don't know how we can get away from that. Yep, Honda and Acura, yep, are the same. Yep. Porsche ain't nothing but a VM Beetle with a 6-cylinder. Like look at the what was that dude name? Lash LaRue. No, that was LaRue. That LaRue dude always ran. He had a hell of a thing against when they put out that Audi TT, because that LaRue dude used to have a paper and he killed him, was saying, because when they first put that Audi TT out, and that had to be 94, 95 maybe, them cars was flipping because they didn't think they needed a spoiler. And so he was putting out there, and then they're Nazi cars too. People forget that about Mercedes and stuff. Hitler used to drive a 6-wheel Mercedes, which would be pretty gangster today now with the trucks out. But yeah, but I have an Acura. It's scooped up Honda. Yeah, exactly. I think there would be a counterculture against the ghetto mindset. Oh, that would be cool. Divine, I hope so. Barbara says 12 days, Minnesota State Fair for a nice lineup. TLC and Shaggy, the Spinners, Doobie Brothers, and more. Wow, really? I didn't know that. Okay, I might have to check that out, because the Minnesota Fairs, they like trying to think where I would drive. I ain't got to drive that far. Now take me to the fair. It's like $5 will take you there and bring you back. I don't think it's $5 a pop. I think it's $5 for there and back, and that's really cool. You can get blasted at the fair. They got all the good beer, all the good, like they got a French fry place that you would never think. And I mean, they just give you a mountain of fries. It's a cookie place, give you a mountain of cookies that people take home cookies and shit. My son would sit there and eat. I mean, it's a bucket of cookies. That fucker would eat all that damn sweet shit. I might go see that. The Spinners? Wow. I wonder if Philippe Nate and the Doobie Brothers, I got to look into that. I might go to that because that's coming up in a couple of weeks. Our state fair be making bank. I broke down the money. It's like 100,000 people a day. It's open. I think it's 10 days, 100,000 people a day at the state fair. And you look at that money, that's some serious paper for our state fair. No lie, black culture is done for. We too deep in the mud. Yeah, D Still. Thanks for joining. Honestly, most modern music on the radio is trash. Exactly. What is it? CB4. It's like now it's still so much music about killing each other. Like as enlightened as all the people supposed to be, there's still rap music about killing each other. I wish a nigga would. Why is it just a nigga? I wish anybody would, not just my own people. I mean, we are scared and hate our own people. It gets into that native son kind of thing. That Bigger, I think, was the main character, where basically you hated yourself so much that you hated anything about black. I mean, really, they kind of put that's why he killed the girl, because he hated himself so much. But it's that kind of thing. We hate each other. We hate ourselves so much that we really hate each other. Forget all that beer just ran down my face. but that's the thing. It's like we hate each other so much. And this is the part of the crack epidemic that people don't understand. We are looking at the grandchildren. 15 to 20-year-olds are the grandchildren of the crack people. So the grandparents would have been the crack people. Well, nobody raised these people. I mean, the people that were seriously strung out of crack, nobody raised them. And so now you have their children that, they pretty much raised themselves. They wasn't taught how to be parents. Then what did you think? It may not have been crack, but they didn't care about their children. It's the same thing. I'd rather get my nails done. It's like the dude killed the little boy for writing on his Jordans. When the only thing that makes you feel like a man is a pair of tennis shoes, that's sad. And yes, he's a psychopath for doing it, but the other part is, look at the culture that pushes him to think that to be a man, he gotta wear those shoes. That's the sad part. That's the only way you can feel like a man is what shoes, tennis shoes at that. Not Gators. Not Gators. They cost $3 to $500. Not Gators. Fucking pair of Jordans. That's made for about $20. For example, Abraham and Jesus was black prophet. Muhammad was probably black too. Well, there's some word about that Lincoln could have been a Moor. If Jesus was a real person, there's even some doubts. Was Muhammad a real person? So yeah. I had an Audi. Let me see. My other son was born in '89. My Audi was a. Let me see. He was born in '89. I had like an 86, 87 Audi 5000. They put that thing on it. I had to take it in because they were saying that the car wouldn't stop. I never had a problem with mine. The problem I had with mine was it wasn't all-wheel drive, and mine didn't have a roof. Mine didn't have a roof. But I remember my friend had a crank. Y'all remember the old sunroofs that you had to crank like this? Like old station wagons back in the 60s and 70s had that back window where you cranked it up or you cranked it down. Well, the old sunroofs in the Audis, my friend had one. He had to crank his sunroof. So we ride and he starts cranking his shit like this. It was kind of funny looking, but he would talk shit to me. But yeah, my Audi was, but I liked that Audi because it had cigarette lighters in every door except the driver door. And when I had old box phone, a big ass box phone, I could plug it in to one of, like I could sit in the back seat and I could plug it in. And I hustled. I had that big box phone. You know, the phone is like big ass bag and the bag is battery. I get in the shot. The phone was like huge. Like the first bag was like a damn, that phone was, I ain't gonna say a backpack, but it was big as a damn backpack. And then the second phone was smaller with a battery. And the brick was actually a good phone. Wayman Tisdale was an excellent basketball player and a smooth jazz bass player. Yeah, he lost both his legs. I think he had diabetes though. But yeah, he lost both his legs. Hate comes from a combination of the slavery bit and that Jim Crow shit. Yeah, kind of. Both my grandparents. Melanated people from hemisphere to Africa need decades to reverse this defeated self-hating pathology. 20 bad bitches. Had a 1980 Audi 5000. Okay. Bought it for $125. Wow. Sunroof, electric windows, and seat. Yeah, mine just didn't have a sunroof, but it wasn't all-wheel drive. It was rear drive. So I always was putting new tires on that thing. And it still didn't really do good in the snow. But it had heated seats. It had the heated seats. Trying to think what else. It had 86. I'm trying to think. I think it had one of them DATs. Maybe. Yeah, I think it had a DAT. You could put a cassette or a DAT in it. I don't know if people remember the little DAT cassettes. You can still get DAT cassettes. It's almost like a master recording. They still sell those though. Driver's side, shelf under steering wheel. Yeah. No, I don't think mine. I remember my boys did though. Because he had what was the smaller one? The 400? Something like, no, I won't say his was like a 300 or something. He had a smaller one. And his had that. I remember what you talking about. Yeah, a little shelf underneath. Yeah. It was a big car. Mine, 87. Because the one you had was slightly boxier. The 86, 87 was slightly like Taurus. Like I always thought that Ford, how did I put it? Okay, so GM copied Volvo cars. Because if you think of the 80s cars of GM, they were squared. They kind of look like Volvos. Well, if you take the same 80s cars of Fords, they tried to make their cars like the Taurus, tried to make look like a Audi. It was more of that teardrop, what do you call them things? Jelly bean, the jelly bean shape. So the mid 80s was like jelly beans. But I always thought the 80s cars, because somebody showed like a 6000, like a Pontiac 6000. All them cars were square, trying to look like Audis, I thought. King James, the same person that authority came from the Bible, called demonology. Exactly. Shit, they talking about Solomon controlled demons. That's why they want to destroy Solomon's temple. Rambo always brings that up about them really hating Solomon. Well, I'm gonna have to go. It's what, 2:30 my time? Yeah, I've been going for 2 hours. I started late, so yeah, this is gonna. I'm gonna have to end. I got a little girl that's gonna be hating me to sleep till noon, and I'm definitely gonna probably sleep till noon. So thank you everybody who joined me. Thursday I should be on tomorrow unless something comes up. My daughter's gonna be with me for the next couple of days, so we'll see. See, was there anything else I want to bring up? Oh, maybe I got a little time. Let me see. I did want to bring this up. I don't know if I can explain it, but I'll try. this is kind of some hard stuff to understand, but it's called quantum information quantum field theory. Study found a new connection. Quantum information plays a vital role in connecting several branches of physics, specifically the theory of quantum error correction, which explains how to protect and how to recover quantum information in quantum computers and other complex interacting systems. Now becomes fundamental to the modern understanding of quantum gravity. Normally, information stored in the physical system is localized. So that's why we are non-local people. I was going to talk about trees. Trees is the first telephones because trees were non-local. A tree from America could talk to a tree over in Africa or Europe. Trees was the first type of telephones, was trees. Trees were also non-local sources. Trees didn't, just a tree right here could tell the information to a tree far away. So they're non-local. So you didn't need a local source. So non-locality. Normally, information stored in physical system is localized, locality. A computer file copies a particular small area of the hard drive. By error, we mean by any unforeseen or undesired interaction, which scrambles information over an extended area, which means a sunburst fucks with quantum computers. I don't know if you guys ever heard that. When there's sunbursts come into the atmosphere, it fucks with them. There's nothing they can do to stop them. In an example, pieces of the computer file will be scattered over different hard drive areas. Error correcting codes are mathematical protocols that allow correcting these pieces together to recover the original information. They are in heavy use in data storage and communication systems, the cloud. Quantum error correcting codes play a similar role in cases where the quantum nature of the physical system is important. In a rather unexpected twist, scientists realized not too long ago that quantum gravity, the theory of describing quantum dynamics of space and time, operates in similar mathematical protocols to exchange information between the different parts of space. And again, you measure space, X, Y, and Z is how you measure space. X, Y, and Z. Maybe I'm mixed up, but that's how they measure space. They measure imaginary space a lot, but this is how they measure space. X, Y, and Z coordinates. The locality of information within quantum gravity remains one of the few open fundamental problems of theoretical physics. That's why the appearance of well-studied mathematical structures such as quantum error coding is intriguing. Yet the role of codes was only understand schematically, and explicit the mechanism behind the locality of the information remains elusive. I know this is kind of hard shit to comprehend, but I don't know. I love studying that kind of stuff. So somebody had asked something about quantum. So before I leave, I will give everybody this little bit of time walking papers. It all starts with a gentle sadness. They came from their original homeland. They knew that they had exact number of years and days before they would disappear off the earth as a culture and a lifestyle. But the civilization would build to a gentle love. They lived in the Creator's day and knew how to separate cycles and the great serpent. And as the Maya would say, I am another yourself. So thank you, everybody. This has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. Look for me around midnight to 12:30 tomorrow. takes a while to get it together. I don't know. I might have some company or something and tell them to leave me alone. Young women like to come over and chase me around my apartment, and sometimes I cannot fight them off. So it might take me a little longer to get together. So thank you all for joining me. I am 8 Wind is Timeless. And until we meet again,